You know what I could really go for right now? Literally anything that comes in a McDonald's carton, wrapper, or bag. Or a McDonald's cup. Yes, any of those items should do it.
We've got your cravings covered. Now stop in for the flaky Filet-O-Fish, the crispy snack wrap, or large fries for just $2.99. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Another checkered flag for the books. Time to celebrate with Chumba. Jump in at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Some things never cease to amaze me. Sunrises, hitting a golf ball straight, and the overwhelming ignorance of the common person. Here's a thought. Use Form Bs to determine classification. This, in fact, is competitive balance. Season 8 of Sun Coaches Podcast, where not everyone is funny or tells funny stories, but everyone has a story. Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, Season 8, and as always this week, I'm joined by Coach Ed Gaffca, the Executive Director of Fire Football Coaches Association. He was of Georgia, and has expanded his network. I'm so glad to have him on. Coach, thanks for being on with me.
As always, it's best part of the week, and looking forward to diving into it.
Well, Coach, we've had some jobs get filled. It's starting to wind down. Things have slowed down with the job market, and we've had jobs filled, and some of those guys that them leaving opened up other jobs, and be interesting. There's some good decisions made, I think. Ashley Henderson at East Jackson from Monticello will do a good job. Jasper County, Monticello, so that opens it up. Surely, my name's not Shirley, they'll stay on staff. Lee County is open, another one that should stay on staff, but they're going to open it up, which I've never really understood that. It wastes a lot of people's time. Greene County is down to 2 finalists, and I'm good friends with Coach Simpson, and I'm not going to pick on him. I told him that we were not going to make fun of him because he needs a job. That screw job he got at Warren County. So we get it with Coach Simpson. He has to have a job. But that means we know that he and Coach Humphreys have made we saw the pictures of them presenting to the community and the town hall meeting style of doing it, which is a different take on doing it. And of course, we think it's funny and different. But you know what? It may be the way of the future. Who knows? But Coach, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the jobs that were filled, the jobs that remain open, and who's going where?
Yeah, and like you said, like Coach Henderson said at East Jackson, one thing that I've kind of learned over the last probably 24 hours is seems to be some overwhelming pressure from members of that board to open it up and at least go through that process, even though they do have a couple guys on staff, to my knowledge, that are more than qualified. This is where I have the biggest issue when you open something up and then you end up hiring the guy on staff, right? It becomes an issue because that's a lot of wasted time. That's a lot of stuck in limbo for the kids, for the coaches. And, if you're going to open it up, why go through that process and waste people's time, yours and theirs? So, if it's truly opened up, I would expect that, that I've gotten flooded with a lot of people that, I think it's a good job. I think it's a really good opportunity for a first time, been a first time head coach at a program and is looking to kind of take that next step. I think they've got a chance to be pretty good for the next 2 years at least. The coverage not there, and I expect them to have a really good opportunity to, propel their career a little bit. I've heard great things about the superintendent, so I'm excited about that piece. But I think for the most part, we're gonna have a lot of cooks in the kitchen, it appears. So my hope is that we can clear that piece up, sooner rather than later. Now, I do know Lovejoy did announce their hire of Coach Jaboy Wilder. Everybody I've talked to, it's a great dude, great opportunity for him. So kudos to him, headed over to Lovejoy. Like you said, Greene County is cycling that thing down, and search for Alatoona has finally winded down. Thank God they were able to navigate it and hire the safeties coach from Carrollton and convinced him to take the job. Like I said, 90 days is half a school year. It took them half a school year to pick a head football coach in Cobb County. There is not many things that I can compare that to, aside from just, if you're a history guy, it's like the Articles of Confederation. The thought was there, right? The intent was there, but the follow through and the execution was poor. That's Alatoona. That's them. They had good thoughts at times, and there was definitely an attempt made, but it missed the mark. And that's Alatoona and their leadership. I wish Coach nothing but the best, and hopefully he's able to come in there and shake the trees and get stuff turned around for the better because those kids deserve it and the community deserves it. Outside of that, I know Montgomery County also is hiring a local guy who has local ties, getting the offensive coordinator from West Lawrence, Coach Jay. He's going to be welcome with open arms there. Charleston is also going to be starting to interview next week. There are, golly, I want to say, or I think maybe Thursday, Friday of this week, and also next week. They've already got about 4 or 5 guys that have confirmed with me that they're interviewing, and honestly, all of them are ones that I think would do a just a really good job. If it's not one of those 4 or 5, probably be able to tell in whatever I put out about it. But you know, you can't go wrong with any of those guys. So I'm hoping for a really clean process down there. They need to get it working so they can get rolling. But yeah, we're almost out of we're almost out of it. The welfare school is still doing their thing, so God bless them. But they do have people coming on campus for campus visits this week. We'll see if somebody's lucky enough to get the offer before they leave. If I'm them, I definitely try to push for that because God Almighty, I don't know when you're going to hear back from them if you do leave that campus. Good luck. Yeah, that's all I got on jobs.
So yeah, the Alatoona situation, I really pulling for coach. I hope he does. I'm sure he'll do a great job. Anything that we say about Alatoona has zero reflection on the choice, on who the coach is and the coach coming in, nothing like that. But talked to a good buddy of mine that was probably one of the early on favorites going in. I was told by other people, not just him, but the as you have stated several times, the entire way that the leadership has handled that situation and what you're going to be dealing with from a leadership standpoint is abysmal. Not his words, my words. Just god awful, terrible. Wouldn't wish it upon people I don't like. So it'll be interesting to see how long our guy is able to stay put there. Montgomery County has always been a great place for somebody to go cut their teeth. I think that's a great opportunity, good choice there. I talked to someone today actually that was supposed to be interviewing at Charlton, and the more he's investigated it, the more I believe he's not interested. I think he may withdraw his name from consideration just because of who he's heard is probably heading over there through the coaching trees, through the coaching network, knowing that that's not the greatest situation on earth to deal with. Again, from a leadership standpoint, and living in Folkestone is you're going to have to really want to live in a place like that. It's different, not bad. It's different. If you're used to having modern conveniences and places to eat and stuff like that, probably not a place for you. You're going to have to drive to Jacksonville or, over to, you know, the Camden County area and so, St. Mary's, find you something to eat. But, it is the house that Coach McCord built and can be done. And hopefully they get that sorted out.
Well, hell, coach, it's not like it's the southwest part of the state. I mean, Bainbridge ain't got anything, and their biggest loss is they quote unquote are close to Tallahassee, I guess. I mean, and nobody really needs to ever brag about that. So, I mean, Folkestone is, at least on the right side of the state and gets a sea breeze. Bainbridge doesn't even get that. So, just standing up for the little folks down in southeast Georgia.
Oh no, I have no problem whatsoever with the fine folks down there. I was just pointing out that, they're as I was told years and years ago by legendary Hall of Fame coach Milt Muller, there are no utopias. There just aren't. And everybody's got their issues, everybody's got their problems, and it's how much suck can you deal with. And embrace the suck is one of the college coaches said players need to do. Well, we need to do as well as coaches. So that pretty much wraps up the job issues for the past week. We had Super Bowl last week. I didn't watch it. I didn't care to watch it. It had nothing to do with the halftime show. It had nothing to do with the teams that were in it. I don't watch the NFL. I just don't. I don't have any. I could care less. I really don't care. Peaked at a game during the All Star weekend when we were in Macon, and it was San Francisco was playing, somebody, and the game that I saw was not football as I know it, so the product that they're putting out there does not appeal to me. I understand that it appeals to a lot of other people, but, I don't really care to watch it. It's not the game of football as I recognize it, so for me, I didn't watch it. But coach, I understand you perused it a little bit, and you were tickled to death about the, halftime show and people's responses to that.
Well, I'm just, I'm of the opinion that when you allow your entire identity to be kind of reduced to whatever political affiliation you have, I find it to be just kind of the lowest form of human life. Have a little depth to yourself, have a little, everybody gets so offended at every little thing these days. And if you're not on this side of the aisle or that side of the aisle, you're automatically enemies. I'm of the opinion that it, I personally could care less about Bad Bunny or his music, and I'm just not white trash enough to like Kid Rock either. So it doesn't move the needle either way, and I'm not going to wax poetic and stand on the corner yelling, we need to switch our TV over to watch this when I'm like, at the end of the day, my luck, if I switch it over, I'm gonna not be able to switch it back. Something's gonna happen. It's just not even worth my time.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Like I don't spend any effort on or just mental energy on it. But there's a lot of people that allow it to consume their life, and I really hope they get a hobby other than turning on Fox News 24/7 or CSNBC 24/7 and just let that thing roll and stroke that ego of theirs and whatever political opinions they have, and get out, go talk to people, have a difference of opinion. It's not very hard. You could have had that throughout that game. It was boring as hell, but again, kudos to the Seahawks. The game didn't really move the needle for me. There was no running interest. I just wanted a good game, and I didn't really get it. I'm of the opinion now that my humor in the game came from everybody having just wild opinions on, what is un-American or a disgrace or the greatest thing in the world and awards worthy. Guys, it's a performance. It's a performance. Who gives a shit? It's a performance. I don't understand why we have to, you know, beat our chest and bang our drum about it. Who cares? Guys, the reality is the Super Bowl is in California. Did you not think that it was going to be a an interesting halftime show? Again, use your brain and don't allow yourself to get so mad about whatever it is you want to get mad. Like, if you really are, I mean, nobody, and here's the reality: nobody's asking Creed and Kid Rock to do the halftime show because that's not going to move the needle either. Okay, and I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this that go, "Oh man, I would love that," and I'm sure you would. And good for you. Me personally, yeah, not going to move the needle. Just not really not saying. But I might be in a minority there, but yeah, it's a big nothing burger for me on all of that. And I think everybody needs to stop getting their damn feelings hurt and stop wrapping up their entire identity in their political beliefs.
Well, here's my thought. How about just don't watch halftime? Get up and go to the bathroom. Go do something else. Go talk to the people you're hanging out with at the Super Bowl party. I mean, if your whole existence of the game is who sings the national anthem and what they do at halftime, we're not going to have a whole.
Like, I don't understand. It's like when people come at me in the comments or disagree with me. I mean, shit, you're the one who follows me. I mean, like you don't have to. You're choosing to watch something or not watch. Just change channel. Get up. Go do something else. Who gives a shit? But yeah, well, again, unhappy people for whatever reason, they're only happy when they're unhappy, and they feel like they need to make these great statements on Facebook and Twitter, and you know, show their show their intelligence or belief. But to me, it kind of does the opposite. It shows me just how shallow and insignificant some of the people that we're so lucky to they we're so lucky they get to write all of them on both sides of the aisle. It's absolutely incredible that these people, their vote counts just the same as yours and mine. That should scare a lot of people, because they're the people that'll go to a Beyonce concert and she'll say, "Hey, go vote for this person." They're all gonna go vote for that person without looking that person up. So those are the people that I really think we need to consider revoking their ability to vote.
Yeah, that piece has always kind of intrigued me why people get that stirred up about stuff like that, and I guess we have to have them, so we have them. Well, I spent the weekend down in Orlando at the Glacier Orlando Clinic. It was fantastic. We had about 800 people in attendance. 1,200 had registered. I guess that was through the Glacier package deal where you can say, "Yeah, we're going," and, I don't know how many guys showed up down there and just stayed in their rooms or wandered around Orlando. Well, that happens at clinics too. Well, there were 800 coaches there, and it was cool, and I got to hang out with some of the exhibit folks as I was the liaison between Glacier and the exhibitors, and met some great people down there. Some of the businesses that I ran into, there was one Snack that does interactive AI software for game planning. Very very cool. Some of you already know M-Day skins. That was pretty cool. You can change your helmet and stuff like that. Put the skin over the top of your helmet and put your stickers and all on it, and it has zero effect on the original helmet, but you can have a different look every week if you'd like. That was interesting. I was wondering how people pulled that off without buying, 120 brand new helmets that were a different color. So that was a cool product. Scoreboard fundraising guys, they were awesome. Jason Nash, who coached in Georgia, he was there, and Maurice Allen's part of his staff. He had several other guys that are Georgia coaches that were there. Got to hang out with them. On Holiday with Light Equipment, he was cool. I like talking to him. Orange Beach, Alabama, he was a really cool guy. Met some good people and good folks and networked. Tyler James, the CEO of Influxer, that was a fascinating company that he is involved in NIL space. Trying to get these guys on to share their products with us in some episodes, because I just think that it was just neat. I mean, to me, there were some guys that spoke and things that, topics that were discussed that I would have loved to have been able to sit in. I introduced a coach from Maryland, and he was talking about one word tempo RPO game, and I would have loved to have spent 3 hours sitting there listening to him. His 3 sessions talking about that was great. Coach Roger Holmes from Dublin was down there as a speaker all 3 days, so people got their wing tee fix in if that tickled your fancy. Had Coach Micah Hughes was there, great guy from Mount Bethel's, good dude. He was there, spoke. I'm trying to think some other Georgia guys. Whitfield Academy was in the house. They had some guys there. It was just a good clinic, I guess. I mean, it was different working it for Glacier than other companies I've worked for in the past at clinics. Very organized, very mainstream, streamlined. Everything's, set up for you, and it's almost dummy proof, which is good for me. It was Coach Lamb proof in a lot of ways. Met a lot of new people and good people, and that's what I like out of the clinic. I don't really, there was another guy that was talking about the screen game. He was from Texas, Coach Clancy, and I would love to have sat in on his presentation as well. But when you're working, you don't get to do that. So that was kind of a bummer a little bit, but it was an interesting trip, and it was cool down in Orlando. And the one thing that really was interesting is we were staying at the Rosa Center Convention Center, and they were having some kind of world championship cheer dance team, super national, whatever. So there were about 2,000 of those little girls running around painted up and with their outfits on, and the mamas, and and daddies and all fired up about Spirit Fingers and dance team and that kind of thing. So I was hoping for 3 days of getting away from noise and loudness, and that didn't happen because as soon as you walked in the door, they were everywhere. But that was cool, neat to see that they had that going on, and made me very thankful to the baby Jesus in the swaddling clothes that I have a son, and I've never had to experience any of that or deal with that. Not that I wouldn't. I'd support my baby girl to the hilt, like one man I saw with a green afro on, and in the colors of his little girl's teams, and I thought that was awesome. That was great. It just kind of shocks you a little bit when you see it, but. And I heard the next morning when I got up to go get my coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning, Mama's on the phone raising Cain about the judges and the coaches and things like that. So it's not just high school football and baseball coaches, but apparently the dance team mamas and cheer mamas will get fired up just like everybody else. So that was my trip to Orlando. It was fun. I met a lot of great people, saw a lot of great people, and can't wait for a couple of weeks when they roll up into Atlanta. I'll be there for that one too.
Well, good. We're just making the rounds, and yeah, I mean, it's playing season's always a good opportunity to connect with people and see some old friends and make some new ones. So good to see, you know, everybody having some different experiences. But I actually put out there that one of the most well attended playing sessions I think would be, how to not get fired. Stories from a sub 500 coach. Or somebody mentioned in the replies, following up or failing up, where basically the same guy because there's a lot of examples of this. There's people on their third, fourth, fifth head coaching job, and it's like, man, that guy was, 3-7, like historically. And he must do well, have a great network, something really, really well, or he just enjoys going to the shittiest of shit jobs. And, getting them to 3-7, they're going to hang the banner for him. So, I think that going to those clinics and finding a couple topics that you can really sit down and learn something new and take one thing away from is incredibly valuable. And I'm interested to see how the Atlanta Mongoose are all secretly in attendance for that. So I'm looking forward to dropping some decals and for those who find them, keep them. And yeah, should be a great time.
Absolutely, and I want people to that are thinking about what they're going to do this off season. Think back to last season. How much time did you lose to creating practice plans from scratch, building scouting reports, reteaching concepts you installed in spring? Spiral XO is the all-in-one platform built to give you that time back. Playbook creation, practice planning, game prep, in-game analytics, built-in player quizzes, and more. Programs using it are saving 10 plus hours every week. That's more time for actual coaching. Sorry, this off season is the perfect time to get everything dialed in before you hit the field. Book a free demo at spiralxo.com or call 470-222-3039 to get that set up with Coach Chandler Boa. Dell's my mentor, so make sure you get that. Go check that out, see what they've got going on for you there, and that'll help you in the off seasons. Anything we can have, any kind of little tools we can get, we saw that up there. And one of the things we need to discuss and talk about during the off season are what can we do to make our game better or make our state association better. And Coach, I know you put out a long thought out.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Playing Thursday or Friday last week. I think it was Friday, where it was common sense things we could do to improve our state organization, nice up our rules a little bit, snug some things up there. Got a lot of feedback on that, and I'd like for you to discuss that with us here in this next segment.
The overwhelming opinion that I have on it really goes back to one of the main focal issues that we see that plague us every offseason, and it's constantly talked about. It's the transfers and the recruiting. And so, one of the things that I want to make sure is clear, this is not doing it exactly how Florida does it or anything of that nature. Think of it more along the lines of, allowing kids to transfer, within a given, open period of time. I made that a transfer window from basically June 1st to August 1st. And, part of that transfer window that, they can transfer to 3 damn schools during that time. Who cares? If they want to get up and drive somewhere, they can. Now, once that transfer window closes, it's different. Then it becomes an in-season transfer, and that would have to be, verifiable proof of a job change for parent or guardian, change of circumstance, whether that's financial, family related, or, anything on a case by case basis. And then the main thing is that all often gets overlooked is the current academic standing. Are they on track? Are they failing classes? Whatever it is, if they haven't handled their business, both academically and from a behavior standpoint, they don't, they can transfer, but they'll be ineligible. And then the undue influence thing. Again, the fact that I post is just wild to me. Ultimately, undue influence. You have a parent, you have somebody associated with the program in some way, shape, or form, promoting the program and actively calling people out to say, hey, if you're a football player, a good football player, come to XYZ school, right? And, to me, that's a problem. It's undue influence. It's very simple. There's a proper way to do that. And for all of the people who like come at me and mentions and all that stuff, here's what I mean by that. It's okay to be proud of your school and promote it and say, golly, I love what that school does for my kid. Other people should experience it. Again, not hard. You can pay you should all hit us up and come and play for us. You can just say, hey, this is the reasons why my kids love going here and our experience. Do you know how easy that is? That's a very easy post. That's not a undue influence. That's not you calling on everybody. You're expressing your opinion on the school that has given your kid a good situation. Nobody will frown upon that. Hell, they'll probably put it on the damn school website. So realize that there is a difference. Use your brain and don't put your coach in hot water. Don't put anybody in hot water because I promise you, even though they did tag the football program in the school, I'm surprised because they have one in January and one, in February. And, the damn one in January was still up. I just, that stuff is ridiculous. But in regards to the enforcement of it all, we do this thing right now at the GHSA where all of the punishment, for the most part, goes on the kid, which, again, I think the GHSA needs a side of what it's all for, which is for the kids. It is for giving them, the opportunity to play these sports. They are not adults, do not control decisions adults make. The adults have to make the decision to break the rules. And to me, these are the people that should get the heavy fines. They should get, they should have fines, levies, suspensions, playoff stuff taken into account. That, to me, you would get a lot more. You're still going to have people try to break the rules, but now instead of having 100 different ways to skin a cat with the rule enforcement that we have, where again, not for nothing, there just seems to be too much to enforce and too little care from people, you know, at the GHSA to actually track down some of this. If you were to do it this way, you're now in a position to crack down on it because you have very simple guidelines that people need to be made aware of. I do understand somebody brought up an FTE concern there. Are we held in that the FTE has to be counted at a certain time? When can the FTE? I mean, again, we can move the goalpost where we need to with that FTE, whatever makes sense. But ultimately, you take that into consideration when it comes to that transfer window because now you have a multiplier. Now you have a bunch of different things that can factor into it. Again, be a professional, be an adult, be an educated individual, and understand that there are ways to do it. It doesn't have to be let's keep adding rules, and that's going to end up just continuing to punish the people that are attempting to do it the right way, but fall short because they don't have as good of a counseling department. So, that's where I'm at with that process. Coach, love your thoughts on it.
Oh, absolutely. There's, the undue influence thing got to me on several levels is to me that falls squarely on the on the shoulders of the head football coach, the person that's in charge, to sit down with his staff and say, "Listen, this is what you can and cannot say on social media. Your intent and your mindset, you may not you setting out to do, these things, but the appearance is that that's what it is, and that's actually what the rule is. That is actually, in fact, under influence, and if nothing else, it's a remunerate or, I don't even know how to say the word. When you get paid for your services as a school employee, the PSC doesn't like that either. So just don't do it. Don't put it out there that way. Figure out a different way, word of mouth, something else, flyers. I don't care. Do something else that isn't so, because you may have had the most honest of intentions, the most honorable of intentions. I'm not questioning that at all. It's just that sometimes perception is reality. Most of the time, perception is reality, and just this goes back into when we hire coaches from out of state, they don't know the rules of the white book. Most of the administrators don't know the white book rules. That might be plan one. Now, how about make sure that your athletic director or your administrator that's in charge of athletics is very, very, very competent when it comes to the rules of the state association. Make sure your coaches know said rules of the association, and make sure those rules are passed on to the other coaches on your staff, whether it's a football coach or a volleyball coach or whatever it may be. Little area, whatever. Anybody that falls under the umbrella of the Georgia High School Association or any other state association. If you don't, you can't plead ignorance. I mean, you just can't. You can't say, "Oh, well, we didn't know that." Or you end up in a situation, like many people do every year. It happens every year. We just saw today that Locust Grove had to forfeit nine games. They went from 9-1 to 1-9 for playing ineligible people. Well, that's great. That's nice to know in February. How many people lost their jobs due to not making the playoffs or losing to whoever that was playing illegal players? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I'm not saying it did happen, but it could have happened. It may be a reason that it happened. And we have to have way better governance and way better grasp of our state association rules, things like that moving forward, or we're going to keep having these same situations.
And coach, we do have with that Locust Grove. That was I was reached out to by several teams that had played them. After I had posted that today, and they were told, they turned it in. All of those teams turned that in to the GHSA between the end of September and October. So that's how long this took, which ended up costing region standings, region rankings, playoff seeding, and ultimately some people's jobs and just some different odds and ends. I mean, again, playing one kid Gainesville had the kid that traveled that we already talked about, that transfer. Yeah, this is different. The report I got was it was 8 to 10 kids that had followed a coach over there. Okay. Um, Anybody with a brain knows that you can't do that. And it's almost like you're just playing with fire, right? Like you're asking to be penalized. And I hope doing 9-2 is worth it, but you know, it's all for nothing. And now it's just you get that scarlet letter of, well, you're clearly somebody who went against the rules. I mean, that's what it is. You went against the rules. You thought that, I mean, I don't know what you thought. I don't. And I'm not going to pretend to know. I just know that you hire a guy to come in as a coordinator and he brings some kids with him. I don't know. It might throw up a red flag.
One would think, but one would also think that grown men could figure it out, and do the right thing. And speaking of figuring it out, your last little piece, I'd like the last little segment that we talk about today is your piece you released today, which I read and thought it was fantastic. And it was duties to be assigned, other duties to be assigned. It has always shown up in the bottom of our contracts. It says, you're expected to do the aforementioned as well as any other duties to be assigned. And there are a lot of things that schools and administration like to throw into the other duties to be assigned hot basket for coaches that most people don't understand that could, it goes anywhere from cleaning up your area to taking up tickets on when you don't even coach a spring sport, but you're responsible for going and doing the gate. And that's just something that's always been expected of people. And as people change and times change, they may not be aware of other duties to be assigned. And coach, I thought you did a great job of touching on that.
Well, I think, it was brought to my attention through several string of DMs I got from different people across the state asking me about different policies I had heard with when it comes to coaches who have a CDL and they drive, right? And I had several conversations with people in leadership, roles, whether retired or actively doing it, about their specific policies that they've been a part of at their schools and schools that they have been to. And like I assumed, they were all radically different. And, but each one of them, funny enough, mentioned the other assigned duties part of that contract, right? And, I've had that conversation where, I think it is such a, when you're a teacher or an educator, you do have a certain genetic makeup, in my opinion, of wanting to do right by kids and not have anything. You're willing to do more with less than anybody else that's walking this earth. You're okay sacrificing certain things at times that other people wouldn't, um, because they know that time is money and they know that your time is money. But as educators and as teachers, we have always been asked, to basically do actually agreed upon. The funny thing about contracts is, a lot of times contracts are negotiable. And the higher up you get in education, they are. We talked about leverage before. Yeah, some coaches have leverage in their contracts to be able to get XYZ for pay, a truck. We've had coaches get their houses paid off, to have somebody pay for a house or at least find them housing. 12-month contracts, 11-month contracts, contracts for assistance, that kind of different audit, that's leverage. And those are contract negotiations. When you get to be an assistant superintendent or superintendent, your contract is negotiated with the Board of Education, simply the superintendent. So those are negotiated contracts. As for all of us bottom dwellers that would have 100% been the first people to die on the Titanic because they're not going to get us to the lifeboats, and we're going to be sitting there like in the movie with our kids reading the book while the room's flooding. We are going to sit here and just take what we can get based on the pay scale that we're allotted. We don't have a say in that, and we don't have a say in other duties. So not only the contract is null and void in my opinion. It's not a contract. It's just a it's a it's a it's a it's an agreement that they're going to pay you this amount. You disagree with it or not, take it or leave it. And as for the other assigned duties, well, whenever you those other assigned duties, more times than not, you're going to be met with a guilt trip. You're going to be met with your typical sayings of you know remember your why, and you don't do this for the pay. Well, shit, guys, still got to make a living. Okay, I understand as principals and admins, they have busy days, I assume, but have they spent their entire day running around, teaching kids and doing that? No, they have not. They haven't. And ultimately, uh, more times than not, those admins are back at their house before us coaches are. They want to talk about hours worked. I put our hours up against any admin that's in any building across the state. And ultimately, we're still asked to do more. There are people who recognize that, and there are people who try to adequately pay, for that time, whatever it is. And understand this, I'm not advocating that, you should be paid for every little odd and end, right? I understand there's a budget in education and you have to do what you can within that budget. There's these amazing little things called fundraisers, and there's amazing little things called, uh, you know, uh, budget plans, 5-year plans, 10-year plans that you can attempt to allocate certain funds. I also believe that if you're going to request somebody get a CDL, you pay for it. If you're going to do certain things, you should actually attempt to help them and get get that license, get whatever you're asking them to do, the certification, pay for their gas going to and from some of this shit you're requiring them to do. That's non-negotiable to me, and that's professional. In any other industry, that's the standard. You get gas, reimbursed for a lot of different things. Ultimately, you're for some unpaid labor a lot of times, and yeah, if a coach sits down and calculates their hourly pay during the season, it's a super depressing number. There's no doubt about it. And ultimately, we're still at every single thing that the 8 to 3 science teacher is at, and yet we're the ones that can't have anything additional because we don't want to offend the science teacher. I mean, again, not to kill the science teaching profession here or any of the other ones that, and they all do a great job, but I mean, nobody's nobody's coming watching a sold out crowd for you to do a science experiment. I mean, they're just not. And it doesn't move the needle. It doesn't add any money. We actually add money to the school system. We do a lot to provide, every, high tide, raises all ships here. And the reality is the football program is the front porch of the house. And ultimately, when your coaches are paid well, when your program is a focal point of pride and it looks good, guess what? It attracts people. There's no undue influence with that. It attracts people because they can tell by the care and the attention. Well, listen, they obviously care about their athletics. Athletics then feeds the beast, and everything works in unison. If you have one thing that's excellent, and everything else sucks. It shows within all aspects of your school. So, I think the other assigned duties is a cop out. I think that if you really want to define certain things and give people roles and responsibilities, do it. But the expectation that you have to go and write it out in the contract if you want them to supervise prom and homecoming. Don't expect it. Write it out. Because again, am I getting paid for that extra time? Now, we've all had our fair share of prom and homecoming chaperoning duties. We know it's part of the deal. It's one of those unsaid, you know, other assigned duties. But at the end of the day, you know, that might not be something for the 8 to 3 person, but for one of us, what you want me to work homecoming? I got a game to coach. I don't really want to work homecoming. But no, we gotta have you. We gotta have 35 teachers there for 46 kids to dance close to one another or dance on the opposite sides of the gym. It's a nightmare. Again, it's common sense customer service. Don't fall into a trap about, you know, the gaslighting of, well, I mean, you should be thankful that you get the opportunity to do this job. I am thankful for the opportunity to do the job. What I'm not thankful for is you know, lack of leadership skills and you use manipulation to try to get me to do what you could get off your badass and do. That's just my 2 cents on it. But I think that there's a way through to make everybody enjoy their jobs better and keep teacher retention a lot higher. And it starts with, you know, leadership being respectful of those and the time that they give and the sacrifices that they make to, again, provide services and abilities for the kids of the county and the city that they, serve. So that's all I got.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, as usual, I do appreciate it. I don't know what you have going on this week. I'll let you share that in just a second. I know Thursday episode will be with Coach Corey Jarvis, one of the best men in our business. He's at Kip Atlanta now. I hope you all tune in for that. I appreciate you tuning in. As always, for me and Coach Ed, as we talk about the events of the week in Georgia high school athletics. Coach, what you got going on this week?
So we'll have one more long form article, by the end of this week. And, we're working on a couple of projects at the moment that I think people will be excited about. Um, it's going to be one big name, coach that everybody knows that going to sit down and do kind of a different kind of interview, I guess you could say. More of the fire coaches style of content to where, yeah, there's going to be football in it, but also it's just going to be a bunch of, questions to kind of see if somebody's got a personality or not. And see if somebody's able to actually show their personality and be comfortable in their own skin. So looking forward to sharing that with you guys, and hopefully get that rolling in the next week or so. But coachingsource.com, and that's, you'll see that on my long-form articles. Go give them a follow. Go check out what they have. You can, like, I've already done it with a bunch of mild practice plans and mild installs and all that stuff. You go upload, stuff to there, and you can literally go in there. Think of it as that teaching site where you can go and get all the other teachers' hard work when you forget to print out a lesson plan, right? Like, I mean, it's basically that, but for coaches, and really good resource. They're really good dudes who are just football coaches who were trying to help football coaches. Between that and then match up USA, obviously they're growing. They're now over 300 schools, and they've got they've got every single school available. So hit them up as well, and looking forward to continuing on this process, and Coach, looking forward to seeing what you put out over the next week as well. You got some really good, interesting guys coming down the pipe. So be sure y'all hit the download, like, subscribe, and give a rating, and that definitely helps Coach and I to be able to do this with you guys.
Absolutely. And as always, we appreciate you guys listening in. If there's anybody you'd like to hear, if there's anybody you'd like us to reach out to, make sure you DM us, get in touch with us. Most of you know how to do that. If you don't, figure it out. And as always, remember, it's satire, mostly.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. The rush of racing? Nothing beats it. But Chumba Casino comes close. Chumba's got fast spins, fun games, daily bonuses, and all the action you can handle. Now that's a ride. Ready to hit the throttle? Get in the driver's seat and head to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
If you work in university maintenance, Grainger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Grainger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, visit Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.